One of the things I see you talk about quite a bit is the connection between progressive politics, progressive ideology, and cluster B personality disorders. Can you get into that a little bit?
Well, let's get to the vulnerable narcissism. So the signature feature of vulnerable narcissism is that emotional dysregulation. As I mentioned, that emotional instability. And that's also the same feature of cluster B psychopathology. So that's sort of really what this all is about, is cluster B psychopathology and emotional dysregulation is really what's associated with left-wing authoritarianism, and specifically this new breed of radical, progressive, leftist authoritarianism. So when you think about cluster B disorders, you're thinking categorically of the cluster B disorders in the DSM, like borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. But when you treat those dimensionally as continuous measures of the constructs, which you end up with in, let's say, a factor analysis, which just looks at how the symptoms correlate with one another, all the symptoms of the cluster B disorders really load onto a higher order factor, which you define as this emotional instability. And that emotional instability is what's at the heart of vulnerable narcissism.
So this is what we see on a college campus, where a conservative speaker comes and a student says, I can't process these ideas that are different from my own. I don't feel safe. I'm in mortal danger because this conservative is speaking their ideas, right?
Yeah, it's the rhetoric of harm. This is harmful. They need shouted down, or this is an unsafe environment for me to be in. And they just sort of they're petulant. They scream, and they're, it's basically like a romper room, and they just, smack their hands, and it's literally like an infantile, petulant tantrum that characterizes this emotional instability. It's just that you're not dealing with an actual infant, you're dealing with a college-age student. But it's just basically the same phenotype, it's just advanced for age.
I'm wondering if you could draw a line of causation. Does this type of progressive or woke politics attract people who are already emotionally unstable, or does the ideology itself kind of destabilize people, or is it kind of bidirectional?
Say it's bidirectional, but if you're already emotionally vulnerable, or you have vulnerability to having more of a disposition to be emotionally unstable, or not even unstable, but just more emotionally variable. And so that's why you see, left-wing authoritarianism's radical progressive ideology will track a little bit more female, simply because women at the highest level have a little bit more propensity to emotional instability. That's just a statement of pure fact because of the biology of how the sexes are designed evolutionarily. Men are more predisposed to this aggressive mindset. So that's exactly what you would see, is that, the more vulnerable you are to emotional instability, or going beyond just simple instability, but disorders and severe emotional deficits, that yes, you're going to be attracted to or gravitate towards more of a political orientation that is characterized by that. And likewise, too, once you're in an ideological bubble around like-minded people who are emotionally unstable or neurotic, there will be likely a contagion effect that will trickle down. So I see this bidirectional. As far as causal links, we're not going to be able to establish a causal mechanism, using causal methodology. But, when you get a large enough sample, you'll see that these constructs track very reliably with one another statistically. And so that's telling you something about a causal signal there.